ready?
Going.
Good evening. It is 6:03 p.m. on Tuesday, July 8th, 2025, and I will call to order the regular meeting of the Millwood City Council for July. Ms. Castles, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Councilmember BC. Here. Councilmember Culler.
Present.
Councilmember Van Hees.
Present.
Councilmember Sander.
Present.
Councilmember Stevens.
Here.
Mayor Green.
Present. And so we have a quorum this evening. All 5 members of the council are present. And so at this time, Pledge of Allegiance. Chief Soto, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, at this time, we would like to ask the council for approval of tonight's agenda. Before I do that, though, we do have a need for an executive session tonight. But given the fact that this is informational only and no action would be coming out of it, rather than disrupt everything, I would like to ask the council to move the executive session from item 7 to between items 14 and 15. So we would.
Motion to move it to 14.5.
14.5.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So we have amended tonight's agenda to move our executive session to item number 14.5. And do I have a motion on tonight's amended agenda?
Move to approve tonight's agenda as amended. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, tonight's amended agenda is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. And so we will move right into item number 4, our local agency presentations. We have Chief Frank Soto of Spokane Valley Fire District here tonight to give both, I think, our quarterly report and the department's annual report. Chief Soto.
Good evening, everyone, council members, Mr. Mayor. So I did present with some of you with our annual report, and I can bring some more for others. I wasn't sure how many were going to be here. Those of you who weren't in the room, sorry. Did get one to the clerk, so thank you for council member Beast for letting me know that. So enjoy it. We did something special with the front. If you open up the front, you'll notice there's a window. That's in case your kids are looking at you and you just want to make sure they're behaving or the pets are in the area. But we thought it was cool, so please enjoy it. And I will take any questions after via email if you would like to send them to me if you just have a concern or question.
I just got a quick one.
Yes, sir.
Under new hires, I see a guy named Thunder.
Yes, sir.
Tell me the story behind that.
I have no idea. I think his parents watched a little bit too many episodes of one of those Viking shows. So.
Oh, that is an awesome name.
But it is his name, Thunder. I'm assuming his little brother's Lightning, but I didn't ask. Too soon. So. Any other questions with it right off the top of your head?
I got a Rowdy, but that's Thunder.
Yeah.
Man.
It's a cool name. I'll give him that one. He's a big dude. So. All right. Well, then we'll get started with the second quarter report. So again, we're covering April, May, and June. And we'll get started. Let's go to our first slide. So for that, for those 3 months, we had 6,223 calls for emergencies. Of those, 82% were for emergency medical services or EMS related. Next slide. This is a heat map for those 3 months for the second quarter. I know it says last month, but I have it programmed where I can capture it from the 3 months. So that is what it looks like on the heat map. You can see the bulk of the calls are in the city of Spokane Valley's Opportunity neighborhood. So next slide. Those 6,200 calls required 7,648 responses. So again, keep in mind that not all calls require just one unit. Certain calls, fires have more have more units respond to it, and likewise your like a heart attack or a cardiac arrest. As you can see, if you look at the very bottom, that's our last quarter. So the last 3 months we're looking at. 8 of our engines had roughly 500 calls or more, and 3 had over 800 as well. Engine 2 is on the upper end of busy with 639 calls. Next slide, please. So again, the bottom line is the last quarter. You can see that the engines or stations 8, station 7, and station 6 amounted to 46% of our total call volume. And you can see station 2 was roughly 9% of total call volume over that 3-month period. Next slide. This is our auto aid, mutual aid. We go in where we go and where they come in. So on the top line is last quarter's, where we spent 138 calls in the city of Spokane, 78 in District 8, 71 D9, 3 in D3. We have some unserved areas that nobody responds to that we will go anyway. And then 1 in District 11 and 1 in District 13. And then vice versa, we had 190 times District 8 came into our area for auto aid. The city of Spokane, 157, D9, 46, and D13 2 times. Next slide. So this is a comparison of quarter to quarter over the last 5 years. And you can see that this is the busiest quarter that we've had on record. By a lot. So, in fact, we're 6.2% ahead of last year's second quarter call volume. So, I don't necessarily say that it's the city of Millwood, and we'll get into that here in a little bit, but it's busy out there. So, next slide. So, what we're covering right here is just the year to date. That's okay. Next slide. Year to date, we've had 12,341 total calls for 911. Of those, 83%, which seems to be our average, for emergency medical services or EMS calls. Next slide. So year to date, we've had 15,185 responses. We have 8 units with 1,000 calls or more, including Engine 2, and 3 with 1,500 calls or more. So those 3 are quite busy. In fact, anybody with 1,000 or more is busy, and over 1,500 is very busy. Next slide. So it's a comparison by month to month for the first 6 months of the year over the last 5 years. And you will see that not only is this the busiest June on record, this is the 3rd busiest month over the 6-month period. So quite busy. And we're 4.3% ahead of last year's call volume. So I figure at some point this has got to slow down. It hasn't yet. But my fingers are crossed, and my toes. Total, this is over the year for the total call volume, and we went from somewhat red to bloody red. So just gives you an indication of how busy things are. Next slide, please. So this is specific to Millwood. When you guys had 81 calls over the 3-month period. 83% were for emergency medical services. Next slide. This is a map of our city here, and you can see where all these calls were located. And I can't tell you specifically where they are, so I'm just giving you a generalization of where the call occurred. That's why the bubbles are a little bit bigger. Next slide, please. Of those 81 calls, they generated 115 responses, with the bulk of them being handled by Engine 2, which is good. Nothing else here. Next slide. This is your quarter to quarter, and this is a part that makes me happy deep down inside, because your call volume came down significantly. In fact, 25% less than last year's second quarter, so that's really good. And that could be from community risk reduction efforts. That could be from just people being on our websites, seeing, avoid these areas, avoid doing these things. But overall, I'm very happy to see that we have a lot less calls going on here, especially with all this construction. Yep, next slide. And then again, same thing. We're 13% lower than last year's call volume. Obviously, we're still higher than the other 3 years, 21, 22, 23. But we are trending down, which is what any fire chief wants to see, especially in today's age where everything else seems to be blowing up. So that is my quarterly report for you. Do you have any questions?
Questions for Chief? Mr. Sander?
Back on the slide that showed the responding fire districts. We see District 8, with 190 in City of Spokane, because we treated a lot. We got a lot of boundary there. Is there a lesson to be learned here, or does that mean we need more staffing at I guess
No, sir.
8 is south, so it's
So it's a twofold thing. So you have auto aid and you have mutual aid, and they're very different. Even though they both end in aid, they're not the same. Auto aid is the closest unit. So even if if our area ends right here, and he's the closest station, or I'm sorry, he is our Spokane Valley Fire Department's fire station, and that's the border. And I just happen to be driving through. I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? How you all doing? And I get right up here, and that call is right here. I'm the closest unit. So I'm going to go on that call. And so that's how auto aid works. It doesn't really matter. It does matter where the station is, but it only matters if you're in the station. So if I'm out on a call right now, and I'm coming back, and I'm going by him, and they're asleep because it's maybe 11 o'clock at night, they're in bed, and I'm coming by the station on the way home, and another call pops in, and it's this call. Again, I'm going on that call. So it's the closest appropriate unit. That's who gets run up. And it could be, I could be here, and you're the next closest station, and you're advanced life support, and this station is basic life support, and I'm advanced life support. The auto aid partner next to you, and the call comes up right here. They're closer, but guess who gets to go? I do, because it's an advanced life support call. So it's the closest appropriate unit. And that's why those numbers are the way down. Now with mutual aid, the call comes in, like we talked about, maybe a cardiac arrest or a fire call. And let's say you guys are on a call, then it's the next closest appropriate units that we call and say, hey, we need your 3 units there. And so that's and it all just adds up. So
it could be the case with District 8, I imagine.
it's everywhere. It's hit or miss. I've seen it.
A lot of more details in that box.
I've seen it sway the other way, where the numbers are higher with them coming in, and we're a lot less going out. So it waxes and wanes. And it just depends on how busy or crazy that day is.
Well, this seems to be a lot, and I'm thankful we're doing that.
It is.
I didn't know if there was
It's a huge benefit. The accreditations, the WSRB, which also gives us our class ratings for insurance purposes, this is a huge deal for them. And if you don't have auto aid agreements or mutual aid agreements in place, you get a significant amount of points off, which raises your rates. So we're certainly, we always look at them, right? We go like, hey, maybe we need to add another unit, which is why we brought in Engine 8 when we did. So there are things that we're still looking at doing.
Thank you.
So, to that point, how much does the exit of City of Spokane from Shrek change auto aid?
It doesn't, actually, believe it or not, it doesn't. So coming from a city in New Mexico where we kind of went through the same thing, except for I was on the city side and I was on the county side, and we never did agree to it. We ended up having 2 PSAPs, the county PSAP and the city PSAP. And I know the big fear was, oh no, well, what happens if? And it's one of the things I often tell my own members of my department and some of the public, where I have to remind them, we're not the what if fire department. You can't what if it, because if you what if it, you're gonna go down a road and you'll never come back, because you could what if everything. The key indicators when you have two PSAP centers is being able to package the call for each other. And that's something that we will do, we have to do, because if you don't do it, that's when you put lives at risk. So if he happens to be a resident of the city, but he's driving through the county and he calls 911, the phone call is going to come through the county PSAP, but he's going to go, it's a city call, because I'm a city guy. And so we would handle that call fully. Now, if he's in the city and the call comes in and we're right on the border again, right? But let's say everybody's calling, it's Mother's Day, everyone's calling their mom, so we jammed up the system so his call's not pinging off of a tower in the county, and then it comes to us as a 911 at Shrek. Then, yeah, we're going to pick it up and we're going to go, okay, where's the call? And he's going to tell us, and we're going to go like, okay, that's the city. But we're not going to say, okay, cool, that's the city. It's kind of therapeutic. I did it. So what we will do is we'll take all the call information and do the dispatch. Get everybody going so there's no time loss. Time is muscle, especially if you have a heart attack, right? So then after we do that, then we'll send it to their dispatches, and so they just get it and they take it from there. And that's how it's supposed to be done.
But right now, in your original example, right now, if somebody's out, let's say let's say somebody's in the valley, there's a unit going down Fancher or whatever, and somebody from City of Spokane is the closest unit. Because it's a regional system, you know where that unit is right now.
Correct.
Will you still know where that unit is?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. We have what's called AVLs, and it tells us your exact location so that I know how many times you go over to Burger King, sir. That's tight.
And even though they're on their own system, you'll still see their
Absolutely,
units, they'll
absolutely,
see
yep.
your units.
Because the cities will be able to, what we're talking about with primary and secondary PSAP and that kind of stuff is one set animal and then two different PSAPs again. But as long as they have auto aid partnership, you have access to the AVL, because that's how the system runs. Is it picks out for you, it automatically goes, hey, you're the three closest units, but of you three, I need a medic, and you two are the medic units. Okay, of you two, who's closer? Plus, I need extrication. Their extrication and their paramedic unit, and they're the closest. It's you guys. So it does work.
Explain to them what PSAP stands.
Public service answering point. So if it's just a fancy way of saying you're the person that answers the phone. It is the dispatch. So if you're a primary PSAP, and this is where some people get confused, every 911 call goes to that public safety answering point, that PSAP, public safety answering point. It goes to them first. They're the first one answering the phone. So in the city of Spokane, they don't answer any 911 phone calls, period. I don't care what you've seen. I don't care what you've been told. They do not receive any 911 phone calls. Every 911 phone call goes to Shrek first. Once Shrek answers it, they ask, where's the location? Okay, we discovered that it is wherever it is, and then we say, is this police or fire? So if it's determined that it's in the city of Spokane and it requires a police response, then we take the call information, package it, and then we send the call to their dispatch. And at that point, it's pretty much they just monitor it. We do all the work. And so now what you have happened with when you have your own city, state representatives, and you change the law, weird, then what happens is you now have manipulated the system so that we are required now to give them the money for that, which means the twist is going to be, do they now pay for that service separately, or do we say, city or county, city, okay, hang on, hold and send it and don't package it at all. Because the rest of the citizens of the county are not going to pay for your 911 services, which they're doing right now. So, yeah, there's a lot, man. You know what, sir? No more questions. You can ask Brian. He's sitting right next to you. My
I'd like to
goodness.
add one thing what Chief Soto just explained in terms of the funding and the legislative fixes and the thing, you know, the dynamics with the city of Spokane and Shrek and the other law enforcement and fire personnel in the community is it's the very grounding for why Shrek was formed, which was to put the people that are performing the services on the governance board to carry out the services, to get the politics out of it, and to those that know, those that live and die what they're doing, law enforcement and fire personnel, on the governing board to make the decisions for the betterment of the community. And that's starting to change and morph, unfortunately, as a result of where things are going.
This has nothing to do with the betterment of the citizens. Nothing. Zero. Zilch. Nada. You got your Spanish class for this.
Yeah.
This is all about politics, money, and power. That's it.
I didn't ask him to ask that question. You did a great job.
That's right, sir. I ran with it.
I've been on 2 boards that have had that done to them. So, yeah, I'm seen that up close and personal, and I was just curious.
That's why I'm fighting so hard.
As what the fallout is from that. Any other questions for the chief? We always appreciate you coming out. Thank you very much, Chief Soto.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. You guys have a great evening.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kester, thank you for coming. As also, we appreciate your presence. And so at this time, we have no other presentations tonight, correct?
That is correct.
So we are at our pre-action items. So public comments concerning action items. Have we received any public comments concerning our action items tonight? So none written, none nothing. All right. So we have moved the executive session from 7 to 14.5. And now we are at item number 8, our action items for our first reading. Our first action item is a public hearing to amend the 6-year transportation improvement plan, which we had previously approved. This will be resolution 2025-10, an amended 6-year TIP. Mr. Wurst or Mr. Shiwi, do you want to take up why we are amending said TIP?
Go ahead.
Big oversight on my part and the engineer's part on one minor issue that Shireen pointed out at the last meeting, that the grind and overlay stuff was funded and it was not. So that is why we're amending it.
So we are changing on Exhibit A. We are changing.
It's at the 2026 grind and overlay projects.
Yes.
2026 projects. Argonne grind and overlay, Frederick to Liberty South Riverway. Those are unfunded at this point in time. Not to say that we come back to you at some point next year and they could be funded, but we just need to identify in the transportation improvement plan if they've been currently funded or have a dedicated funding source or not. So.
Yes, so last time it said they were funded. They are not funded. And that was a cause of confusion after that was pointed out while we were all kind of looking at each other, wondering where we got that money from suddenly.
So we do come forward with this though to recognize they are unfunded, which then allows the city to go out and maybe pursue some funding as a result of it. So, oversight and typo on the tip, but necessary cleanup that allows the city to move forward.
Is that the two overlays?
Yes.
Okay.
And I will say that SRTC did opine that it really would not have mattered because it was just in our tip, but we are being proactive to change this and recognize that we did have a Scrivener's error within the document, et cetera. So, are there any other questions on this from council before I open the public hearing? This is the first reading, so I will open the public hearing for comments, and then we would approve this at the, or you would take it up for consideration at the next regular meeting. So this time it is,
Did we leave the public hearing open last time?
no,
No, you just have to hold one, at least one public hearing and then,
I thought we did that last time, didn't we? Or was it the last one, not a public hearing?
we had a public hearing, I think we closed it though.
Okay.
well, we did leave one of them open, but I don't think it was the tip. All right, so it is 6:29 p.m. and I will open the public hearing on the amended 6-year transportation improvement plan for the city of Millwood. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment on the 6-year transportation improvement plan as amended? Please step forward and state your name for the record.
Greg Mott, 3301 North Oregon. Simple thing, Empire chip seal, changed to 2026 from 2025. Do we really want it to be next year? It's just another typo I wanted to point out.
No, I,
In the process of correcting the other two, one additional one got made. Okay, thank you. That's all I have to say about that.
So that project's already done.
well, it will be as of Thursday.
Tip tonight.
Do we need to just amend it?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
Yeah.
You just amend the tip before you adopt it.
So we would just strike that Empire chip seal.
Do you need a motion from one of us to amend it? Or
I,
are we just gonna do it?
after I close the hearing. Yeah. Are there any other comments for the public hearing? Second call. Third and final call for public comments related to the amended and yet amended again 6-year transportation improvement plan. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing at 6:30 p.m. and now I turn to the council for any motions.
I make a motion to amend the Empire project to reflect the year 2025. Is that it?
Or strike it.
Strike, because it'll be done Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, we don't
Actually,
even,
tomorrow.
we don't even really, we can just
Striking.
strike this line because we don't even really need it. It
What would you
does.
prefer, Kyle?
Whatever's easiest for everybody.
I make a motion to strike it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? So the amended 6-year transportation improvement plan strikes the line funded 2026 Empire chip seal from Argonne to Butler, etc. So that is now amended and we will bring to you the amended 6-year transportation improvement plan for consideration at the next meeting because this was only the first reading for this. Any other items, questions on this from council? Thank you very much. You will see this at the August meeting. So that brings us to item 8B, which is an amendment to the Spokane County Steering Committee of Elected Officials Interlocal Agreement as adopted by the Board of County Commissioners. And I will speak to this. What this does, what this amendment was in response to requests from the state legislature that we open the board to greater participation, particularly for tribal membership. And we have done, the steering committee of elected officials has done that, but in order to make it mandatory, we need to, or make it consistent among all the jurisdictions, Millwood would need to ratify the changes to the ILA, which is basically extending 2 seats to the local Native American tribes. One is the Spokane Tribe of Indians, the other is the Kalispel Indian Tribe. And so those, we do have a member, the steering committee has a member from the Kalispels on there currently. Spokane Tribe is still, I guess, looking for their member. So, this will come back to you. It is just part of that agreement that adds those 2 seats to the SECO. Are there any questions? Yes?
So is this additive, or does this change the composition, like a small sap town will lose a representation or something?
All members of the steering committee of elected officials have a vote. It is a one vote, one person, one vote. There's no.
So you're just expanding the team?
Yes, we're adding 2.
Okay.
And really, the SECO is the vetting agency for pretty much land use decisions to go to the county commission. The steering committee does not make any law or any rules. They simply forward things forward to the county commissioners for their final consideration.
But just like our planning commission, usually the board of commissioners would accept what good work has been done.
They can. It's a little more political up there. But that is where we are at for that. But to your question, it adds 2 seats, but does not reduce any voting stake by any of the membership.
Thank you.
So that takes care of item 8B, and so item 8C is the bid tabulation for the construction of the additional speed humps on Empire. Mr. Shiwi.
So you have the information in front of you for this. This was a little bit of a surprise for me. Diamond was the ones that did the original ones. Great work, good price, everything. 2 more sets, comes in about where it should, about, what they already did times 2. Wasn't a surprise there. Aero Concrete says non-responsive. They reached out to me, and his first question was, they did this with no change orders? I'm like, yeah, they did it to the cents. He's like, there's no way I can even come close to that. And he didn't ever give me a bid for that. Then Inland came in, and they were at about 24,000 something to do the initial set. Well, now they came in and did the old flipperoo on me, and they were going to do 2 sets for about 2,500 more than they were going to do the initial single set. So, and I think you got the estimates in front of you too. I mean, they have it itemized out with the grind and keyway for the asphalt, all the striping, all the signage, traffic control. Everything's accounted for, and $2,000 cheaper than they're going to do the initial set for. I don't know why. I don't know if they looked at what Diamond did and were like, oh, well, that's not so hard. We can do that for this much, or what. But so I guess we're going with them if you guys want to approve it, because they're lowest bidder this time.
So questions for Kyle, the standard?
Really no reason not to. I mean, Inland Asphalt used to have a good reputation, I assume
They still do. Yeah. Yeah.
There's no reason not to.
I wonder if they saw on YouTube that we're speed bump, bullish on it. Talking about future years.
Any other questions?
So this quote has a 15-day expiration on it. Do we need to approve tonight?
That is the council's decision, if, as always.
I think anything's gonna change between now and next month, and I don't want them to raise their bid.
Right, and I don't think there's anything mischievous by putting that 15-day date on there. I'm sure they're just trying to add for fluctuation in material costs.
Yeah.
But
No, I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
things change every month.
yeah,
I'd be willing to vote tonight if the rest of the council
Yeah.
does. Yeah, sounds good. Okay.
I guess at this point, does the council wish to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve or award the speed hump contract to Inland Asphalt in the amount of $22,555.
I'll second. Plus
Oh, is that
24. Do you guys take the full tax?
24,562.39.
So $24,562.39 with tax.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing no discussion from the council, all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, item 8C is approved unanimously. And I will sign and accept that contract, and we will get it on the books. So thank you very much. So that concludes our action items for first reading. That brings us to our single item for consideration tonight, which is our consent agenda, consisting of the June 2025 regular meeting minutes, the 2025 June treasurer's report, the June claims and June payroll, a Argonne Road congestion relief project change order number 1, and Argonne partial payment for phase 1, and water system maintenance projects. Does anybody like to take any of those items separately?
I have a question about the June 2025 council regular meeting minutes. Brian brought forth the ordinance about the finance committee, but then I recollect in the meeting that he pulled it back. I don't see any documentation in the minutes that we took a vote on. Did we take a vote on it? We took a vote on the Banner Bank signatory thing. And so I half expected that we were gonna get presented the ordinance of starting a finance committee again. So I mean, I might be wrong, but I looked through this packet and I didn't see where we voted or approved the start of a finance committee.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't think they did approve it.
No, I don't.
Cause he did have it on our the agenda, but then when he was presenting it, said, okay, let's take this back and we'll vote on the signature, and we all voted and enacted that.
Was there a draft in the packet?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah. I can't recall if we had revisions to that draft or not. I'd incorporated.
There was a discussion about it, and you had said, oh, well, maybe I'll take that back and to my recollection, but I don't find documentation in here.
Yeah, well, we didn't bring it forward this month for approval, so we will bring it in August then.
Okay.
Okay, I can adjust the minutes if you want to reflect that, something in that. Be listening to the meeting. I'm not gonna say that I didn't miss it because I certainly could have. It's not.
I mean,
You didn't act on it.
Yeah, we did not act on it.
So we probably
It
should.
was
It
presented.
would just been a discussion.
Which section are we referring to in the minutes?
So it would have been in the action item for consideration, I guess.
Do we have an agenda from last time? Cause that's what I was looking at too.
I don't have one.
Agenda from yes, I can pull up one. The agenda from last time.
And there was there was a 2-page, this would be the draft.
It was in the consent agenda, the resolution 2025.
Oh, so it has
authorized
passed.
signers. The authorized signers.
Oh, yeah.
That's all.
So
There was
the-
nothing, there
So,
was nothing in here
so
on
the
the
finance committee
agenda
has
about the finance.
not
Okay.
come forward yet.
Okay.
There was
So
nothing about that.
we will bring the finance committee forward for the first reading at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. So any other questions on any of the items on the consent agenda this evening, or would any council member like to take any of those items separately? Seeing or hearing none, I would ask for a motion on the consent agenda then as presented.
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented tonight.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, tonight's consent agenda is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. And that concludes our action items for consideration. And so we have no more action items for this evening. That brings us to our reports. First report is our treasurer report. The agenda says interim treasurer, but what we have right now is a independent financial consultant who's assisting the city on going through items. And so at this time, I would like to introduce Dave Armstrong. And Mr. Armstrong, you have some items you'd like to cover for the council.
Well, maybe a little bit about me, that would
Sure.
be first. I was minding my own business, which is how I always operate.
But some guy.
I was CFO for the Spokane International Airport, the Spokane Airport Board, which ran Spokane International, Phelps-Field, and the airport business park. I was there for 13 and a half years, 12 and a half years, 12.75 years. And when I turned 65, the day after my birthday, I retired. I gave them notice, but I retired. So I'm currently consulting in a variety of areas, one in airport management, general accounting, and I am here to assist in whatever ways that you need me to assist. I am currently getting used to a financial reporting system that I have never worked with, but I'm getting there. It'll be fine. I'm understanding it. I can actually create reports that I can understand. I can understand this. I'm not sure why, but I can understand this report. But I'm working on a couple of things that maybe in the future might have a little more meat, revenues and expenses, compared to maybe last year, compared to budget. I have a nowhere near ready for primetime report through May, sitting on my computer here, and I think it will help. I'm reading the treasurer's report. It says outstanding vouchers, and it's all of these express bill pays. I'm going, I thought that was inbound money. And the longer that I sat here and read this is all inbound. So the outstanding vouchers is only part of this report. It's outstanding revenues also. So it took me, I'm sitting here just panicking going, why is this under outstanding vouchers? But I figured it out. But I'm here to help whatever the city needs. I am fairly competent. I am a licensed CPA. I have been audited more times than I even desire to admit to. And I have worked with Mr. Wurst for probably 10 years-ish. And we
Felt like 20, but yeah.
Well, it's only Fridays that are bad. So we work very well together. I have opinions. Sometimes I share them. I've been told at home, no need to share your opinion. So, but anyway, I'm real happy to be here.
So the council, over the last few months, has made some inquiries onto a cleaner reporting of the city's financial position beyond simply the reports that are generated by Springbrook Express. Mr. Armstrong is here to assist the city in understanding what Springbrook Express and BARS actually puts out and turning that into a more typical P&L, profit and loss type positional statements, encompassing some of the nuances of the cash basis by which we work in a way that we recognize the fact that because we are a cash basis, we account under cash basis, we need to be able to show rolling amounts and account for the way our income comes in as opposed to our expenses, and maybe not just always report to the bottom line or budget, so council is fully aware of what's going on. So assisting in that is critical for basically getting to the heart of what you folks are looking for. I am certainly, I can put together a kind of a water usage spreadsheet, but accounting is far beyond me, so I am certainly not going to take up that mantle, and this is something that definitely requires the touch of a CPA who has worked in public funds, understands public funds, understands federal accrual, federal monies, state monies, how those are recognized, how that revenue comes in, how we have to assign that revenue to different funds based on the restrictions of that revenue, et cetera, et cetera. So we're looking forward to Mr. Armstrong helping us out here and kind of getting everything into a form that council can see, but still keeping to the fact that we need bars as part of the state reporting requirements. So it's how do we filter bars into a more conventional lens? So that's kind of where we're at with that. So is there anything else that you wanted to touch on tonight?
I don't think so.
So as he works through this stuff, we will be generating more in-depth documents for you, more along the lines of what council is asked to see. Once the finance committee is up and running, finance committee will be working with Mr. Armstrong, kind of getting that feel and council members will be able to report back to the council generally. It'll be a lot cleaner, and it'll be a lot more informative to not only you, but to the public, because we'll be able to see positions as we go through, but also represent with the understanding that some months are gonna look great, and some months are not, because our revenue comes in set times, and so it's just that matter of being able to report things so that everybody understands clearly the way a municipal corporation works.
Is there a better vehicle than Springbrook?
No.
Okay.
I have no. I have trust me. I have looked, and it is not Springbrook. It is bars. It is bars, and it is the way that we work. It is what you have to do with bars. Springbrook is all of them are
The same.
all of them are the same. Yes, I was looking at Springbrook from another issue, trying to figure out, is this the right program for us, given the fact that we're not just the city, but we also are the utility as well. And all of them have their interests. This works.
Okay.
We have to figure out what we want, use somebody like Dave here who can say, this is what you got, how do we take these numbers and get them into a form that you want using those numbers. And we're still, and we're gonna have the same issue for utilities because of the ILA that we've signed with Spokane County and how we account for sewer usage for our commercial users, things like that. We're gonna have the same sort of, how do we take the numbers that come out of the Springbrook system and turn them into something that we need for the ILA.
Okay.
So we've got things to catch up on. So any other questions for Dave? So I will move on to our jack of all trades, Miss Castles, for our clerk, public records and code enforcement. Lisa.
Alrighty, well, I was on vacation for 10 days, so I'm still trying to recover from that. I'm not sure it's worth it after you're gone, it's like, wow, I don't know,
Hold it.
not really sure.
Hold it. I'm leaving.
I know you are, yeah, which I didn't approve of either. But anyway, came back on the 30th was my first day back, which we had the appeal hearing that night, and then the next night we had a special planning commission meeting, and and there was only a 4-day week, and it was like, oh my gosh, only have 4 days to get 12 days of work done. So that was, last week was tough, but made it through. We've gotten 2 new extensive public records requests that are going to be tough. They're gonna be a lot. So I haven't even really, just barely glazed those and somewhat looked at them. One of them came in while I was gone. Mayor Freeman did the response, so we got that out in time. which was awesome, but that's gonna take some time. We have, I've been working on the newsletter, and thank you, Shauna, for sending that in, and then, Amanda also had a nice, thing on that, so the newsletter has a lot of really good information on it this time, so that we're good at that. Been working on billing, we've had some, that was a big job the last few days, and, we have a new admin. Kinsey is her name, and she is fabulous. In the interview process, she had me at, I like to take notes. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. If you're a note taker, that's my girl. So she's very friendly smile. She's just, I think, going to be really, really good. She's got a good background, and so we're really excited about that. Bad part is she already had a vacation planned. So she's on vacation this week, but that's okay. She's worth waiting for. Today was, again, didn't get what I was supposed to get done because at 1 o'clock, it was 85 degrees in here. And we were gonna cancel the meeting, called to cancel, then the guys were able to come and then found out the company that we have our contract with is no longer in business. Well, gee, isn't that great? Okay, so that was fun, but as you can feel, it's nice. It's nice in here now, so we got that all fixed out, and that's all working, and here we are. So that's what I've been doing.
I'm a little cold.
That's what he said during the first meeting, and I glared at him. I wanted to throw something.
Any questions for Lisa on anything she's working on? We have, we have been busy with the appeal hearing on a land use decision, the resulting public records requests, and then the myriad of little things that come up. Dealing with the AC here today was one of them. So thank you very much, Lisa, for handling all these things. It's greatly appreciated. Facilities and tonight utilities for Mr. Shiwi. Mr. Erdahl is on vacation this week.
I guess I'm technically first, so for the public works side of things, in the park last week, we went out there and dug out the old merry-go-round post and got the new hole dug and the new post set in concrete and securing as we speak. I'm hoping to have the guys start assembling the new merry-go-round next week, hopefully. The pool and splash pad are open and being enjoyed on today's like today. Empire traffic calming chip seal update. About a week ago, I was contacted by the county chip seal crews. They notified me that they're having staffing issues and asked if there was a way that we could go out and lay out the travel and bike lanes ahead of time and put markers down so their paint crews could follow it after the chip seal is done. So Matt and I and our park helper at some points went out and we laid out the road and put down all these stick and stomp markers that they do. It's the first time, and it's kind of nice to do something different, I guess. And then they came out that next week and put the first layer of the chip seal process down. Came out today and did the final sweep on it, and I no more than printed this thing off and got an email from her saying that they're planning to do it on Thursday. Well, they moved it up, and now they're planning to do the fog seal tomorrow. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And hopefully restriping very soon after that. I'm pushing on them to get at least those double speed humps striped right after the fog seal for obvious reasons. So that's, we'll be seeing movement on that tomorrow. The Argonne project, Liberty Concrete and all their subcontractors have been moving right along on that. Today we're roughly about a third of the way through the project. And they have a good majority of their underground electrical conduits for the signalization and the street lighting in the ground. Liberty Road has been widened to accommodate the left turn pocket for northbound traffic, and the new sidewalks have been done at Liberty and Dalton. They're currently working on Euclid and Frederick, doing some demolition and installing a new dry well on Frederick. They'll be continuing to work on those areas and shooting to be out of there and moving into phase 2, which is mostly on the east side of Argonne, hopefully by the end of next week. As you probably noticed, I've put in a few temporary speed bumps on some of the intersections. This is because there's an abundance of people cutting through the neighborhoods, which is avoidable with all the construction. But we're having calls and experiences where they aren't even thinking about stopping at the stop signs or even slowing down. So Kevin came up with the idea to make them slow down. And I have a few other areas around town where I'm gonna be also adding some more of those. They are just temporary till the project's over. I'm gonna have to pull them up before we start plowing, but they are working for the most part. I also met with Jim Flott today, the gentleman that did our urban forestry management plan. He wanted to kind of just touch base and go do a walkthrough of the Christmas tree. We went over there this late this morning, and he had some good preventative maintenance measures that could and should be done for all the trees, but that would help reduce the potential for damage during the construction. So I'm gonna take those suggestions to our next construction meeting next Tuesday and talk especially with IEP about it, because the tree is on their property. I don't think we're really gonna be doing much work in that aspect, but I got some good, we could do this and see if they go for it. And then as far as, facilities, we had some hiccups this morning. Like Lisa said, found out that the business we were using went out of business in December, and she hit the grindstone, found another company that could fix it, but not only fix it, be here within an hour, got us up and running. Unfortunately, they found some questionable installation stuff that was done by the former company, so we're probably gonna be seeing some more HVAC bills in the near future as we work through some of those issues to hopefully keep from having the issues like we did today. That's pretty much what I got.
Any questions for Kyle on the public facility side? Care to touch on that stuff, please?
Absolutely. This is very easy.
Switch chairs.
What's that?
No, he's
Switch
fine.
chair-
My favorite one that I can hardly say with a straight face is all the routine water samples came back good again this month, which is the same thing over and over again, but we're very grateful it is. He also sent the consumer confidence report to DOH, picked up a bunch of sample bottles, and this month we're going to be taking nitrate samples from all 3 wells. We'll be taking a PFAS sample from New Park well, and we'll also be doing testing for radium-228 at New Park well. We take this sample every 6 years. He spoke with Prestige that does all our work on our pumps and clay valves, and they also do large meter and source meter testing for accuracy. So he wants to get them scheduled to come out soon and start testing those larger meters. Ashley from Welchcomer had been in contact with Aquadrome, which does interior tank inspections. They can come and inspect the inside of the tower without any disruption to our water system by putting a drone in the tower from the top hatch. And he'd like to get that inspection done sooner than later so we can know what the interior of the tank is looking like. He's also contacted American Leak Detection about coming out and testing all of our old cast iron water main areas, and that'll give us a better idea on which of those areas to prioritize if we do find any that are leaking. In sewer, the generator at lift station 1 had been leaking antifreeze for a little while now, and we called Pacific Power. They came out Monday, and I met with him, and they pressurized the cooling system on there, and we found out that it's antifreeze leaking out of the water pump. So they are going to replace the water pump, and they also have us down for a 6-year service, which includes replacing all the cooling hoses and the serpentine belts and stuff as well. And that's what he's got.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Is Aquadrome the one out of Hayden or?
I am not sure.
How long was the leak? I didn't know about that.
I noticed a couple months ago, so that generator exercises for about an hour and a half every other week. And I noticed 2 or 3 months ago it was starting to consume some antifreeze, but we couldn't tell where it was coming from. And then we got a call last week that it was low again, and I'm like, there's gotta be. So I went down there and started looking around closer,
and I saw a lot of moisture on the lower sections of the radiator, so I thought maybe the radiator was failing. But when he came out Monday, he was able to he took the radiator cap off and put a plug in it and pressurized it. And I was looking around for leaks, and sure as heck, you could see right where the hub comes out, where the pulley goes on and the fan goes on to the water pump. It's common, and it leaks out of those bearings right in there. And it must have just been because the fan blows away from the generator and up out because it's underground, is blowing all that coolant into the radiator, which made me think that's where it's coming from. But it is water.
So, as part of the consent agenda, because of the 3 items that Kyle discussed with Matt, on Matt's side, which is the tank inspection, leak detection, and the meter testing. We've talked about this at the last meeting. We talked about it at the special meeting for the capital improvement plan. Those elements, and I think everybody's seen from the emails and reports from Ashley, those elements feed into what we would be looking for grant funding. And because the grant funding cycle would be coming up for the cast iron replacement, to get those things done in a timely fashion, get the reports back, all that. So that was why the item was in there, to get those approved as part of the consent agenda. They're not as part of the regular scheduled budget. There are funds to take care of that, as the memo said. But we wanted to get council approval, but we need to get them rolling now to get out everybody's schedule and get this stuff done. So we have that information to come back for the consent agenda, or not for the any grant applications that we would make as part of this cycle. So, any other questions for Kyle or Matt's stand-in? Kyle? None, so thank you very much. We have Ms. Daniel here this evening. Amanda, would you like to give your report to council?
So obviously we went over an hour ago a whole lot about the planning commission, so we'll skip that section. We haven't had a huge amount of land use applications, thankfully, honestly. Right now, it was working through the appeal on South Riverway and then assisting Lisa with the retaining wall code enforcement portion. Coordinating the re-review for the civils on the mixed-use building on Euclid. Completing the review and stamping the planning approval for the ADU at 9204 East Grace. They're converting a garage into an ADU. And then a fence review on Empire, and then a bunch of miscellaneous and a lot of preliminary information stuff. You may hear that the lots that had the fire, the duplex lots over by the river, I heard that did sell, and so they've reached out to me for information. And then I was surprised it wasn't covered on the treasurer's side, but big heavy lift, the planning update grant first half was approved by Commerce, and we should have received a check for that. So that portion's done. We'll be receiving the updated contract and scope of work likely in September, I believe it is, for part 2/3. So the funding's going to be done a little bit different this next go round. Instead of being July to June, it's going to be July to June part 1. Part 2 is going to be July to December. So we are going to be able to stretch it over the whole time frame. Instead of having to figure out, okay, we still have 6 months left and we have no funding. And so hopefully we can make it all work out in there. But that actually benefited the state's budget to spread it out that way as well. And so we should be seeing something come forth by September for that. Meanwhile, since we're into July now, I'm tracking the hours because we will be able to bill back as of July 1st. And then just continuing to work through PTAC meetings and Spokane County with the climate resiliency element. Like we had said, coordinating with Commissioner Beasy, and then continuing the community engagement and coordination for the capital facilities plan with residents and our agencies. And then I completed a tier 3 city required middle housing types memo update since we were getting into the nitty gritty for the comp plan portion of the housing. And that's where we discovered the townhouse portion. So I updated them on what was required and what wasn't. And then, as we talked about, finished up the last drafts of the comprehensive plan elements and prepared for the presentation we had tonight.
Do you mind giving just a little bit of a brief to council on your meeting with the Millwood Community Association and the neighborhood
For
Main Street?
Oh, for the Main Street, yes.
Yes.
So, as part of the capital facilities planning, obviously, and the housing impacts, all of it came together. I had to look at various funding sources that the city could qualify for as long as we put a few steps in place. One of them was designating Millwood as a Main Street community. In order to do that, we had to have a downtown association. Well, back in January, February, whenever I met with the Millwood Community Association, Shireen and Jeff Postlewaite as part of the comp plan, I remember her saying that they formed the association. It used to be a downtown business association, but it was changed over to a 501c3 for future funding opportunities. And I was like, ding, ding, ding. And so we saw the timeline opened up for starting the designation process. There are 2 levels, and in talking with Shireen, Millwood wasn't quite ready for the top full level, and so she put a placeholder in, essentially, that we were looking at the lower level, and that would allow Millwood Community Association to get their ducks in a row and work with the city towards the full designation. We had to get, by the end of May, we had to get the placeholder in saying we were interested in one or the lower level. She did that. And then the application, I believe, is due in September. I have an email back from her that I still have to go through to assist with some of that. And then she also wanted to look at some of the other funding options as well. One of the benefits when we can become a full Main Street community is certain public works benefits. So, for example, the mixed-use building was proposing, or is proposing, to expand the sidewalk on the north side there. They are funding the bill for that and not getting anything for it, other than a greater wide sidewalk in front of the building. Projects like that could receive some reimbursement from us being a Main Street community. So it encourages redevelopment and improvement in the downtown. And part of what we'll be looking at as we go through the development regulations side is I threw together kind of a quick example of what we consider the central business district, because we talk about it in the comp plan, we talk about it in the codes, we don't have a map. And so I threw together just a quick example that we can go through and refine, just to use as kind of a draft as we go through the conversations. So, was that everything you were hoping I'd catch up?
It was. Thank you very much for going through that. I think that this is a very good opportunity for Millwood to look at potential for improvement, development, redevelopment, all that sort of stuff. And so with Amanda's help, we're going to keep kind of on it this time. My understanding was last time it fizzled a little bit because
they weren't a 501c3.
They weren't a 501c3, and then after they became that, it just kind of never came up on the radar again. So, as we've talked about many times, Millwood itself is kind of running out of, the city is kind of running out of ability to do more for private property owners. This is one thing that we can do that would assist in helping with sorts of undertakings of rejuvenation, restoration, things like that, redevelopment in properties. So I appreciate Amanda picking that up for us. Thank you. Any questions for Amanda? Thank you very much. So, Mr. Worst, legal report.
Yeah, not a lot to report, just a quick reminder to council. There's a special meeting and a administrative appeals hearing on June 30th. The written final decision in accordance with the council's comments sitting in the quasi-judicial capacity that evening will be coming to you for review and hopeful adoption at the August regular meeting. I think we would like to, if possible, we would like to have that written decision adopted, and it might take a little wordsmithing and draft form out to you ahead of time, comments back to me, just so we can, that final decision then kicks off whatever the property owner wishes to do from that point forward. So, just a reminder, quasi-judicial setting, you're sitting there and you're not in a position to really comment outside of the record's been set now, hearing's been held. So we need a final written decision to allow that process to go forward if it so happens to do. So, other than that, as the mayor mentioned, executive session request at the end of the meeting. I think how long? I think we have a couple items. How long would you like the announcement made for?
30.
On 30? You think we need 30?
I think 20 would be sufficient.
20 and then extend it to
17.
There will be no. There will be. You've been spot on. And there will no action to be asked of the council afterwards. So if you want to go 20 and then extend if need to.
Purely informational.
Okay.
Any questions for Mr. Worst? Thank you. Brief mayor's report. We've been, as Lisa mentioned, we have hired someone to assist at as a full-time office assistant at the front counter. That individual is also going to get trained up on some of the operational aspects of Springbrook and open government permitting, just so that we can have a full picture, other items as well, so we can have a fully trained group of individuals that somebody takes vacation, somebody gets sick, somebody has to go attend to something. We don't have things that just can't get done, bare necessities need to be able to be handled at all times. Continuing to work on various other administrative items. One is making sure that we are following the procurement rules that came out in 2024 regarding small work rosters, all that sort of stuff. Going to be working with Mr. Worst on that to get some policies and procedures and some basic beyond simply policies and procedures, but some pretty much flowchart stuff that allows everyone to understand if this, then this, and this, all that sort of stuff, so that we can make sure that folks are executing and we are keeping proper documentation and we are doing what we need to do with that. Otherwise, I give credit to staff for making sure everything is functioning and getting the park open, getting the pool staff this year. We need to be greatly appreciative of the fact that we have 3 lifeguards this year that are literally reporting when they need to report. They are out there, they are keeping the pool open. It's becoming more and more difficult to find individuals, particularly in that level of thankless job. We have had some individuals, once again, leaving their children there and taking off, and when confronted that you cannot leave your children unattended, that apparently is our problem. And so it is, folks have been given the directive that it is okay to close that wading pool if you have someone who is belligerent or not following directions, rules. We're not gonna have it. I am tired of having, how old is our youngest pool attendant? 15-year-olds being berated for saying you can't leave your child here unattended. So that's just, if people in the community need to understand that it doesn't work like that. Beyond that, as Kyle said, we did have folks calling in regarding people rolling stop signs, and rolling is being nice. So the temporary speed bumps are going in. They will go in and they will stay in for the duration of the project. I think we've noticed that folks have gotten tired of driving down Marguerite because there's always somebody going east and west on Dalton, and yes, they do have to stop. And the other trick was kind of trying to skirt around speed bump, but there's somebody coming, so they can't really do that. So then they're stuck there at that speed bump. So they seem to be causing or having the desired effect. We do have some trainings coming up for folks. There is Amanda's going to be attending a MRSC class for it's just a webinar, but getting the lay of the land on what's coming out next out of legislature on land use, zoning, things like that. So there'll be reports on that. There is a steering committee of elected officials meeting that she's going to be presenting at, which is presenting our HAP templates along with all the other jurisdictions or many of the other jurisdictions. There will be some financial training through MRSC for financial boot camp for a couple individuals here, just so as more of the backstop thing, so folks can pretty much understand bars and accounts, things like that. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Any questions for me? So that concludes our council reports tonight, or our reports tonight. So council information, do we have any council information? Deputy Ball did give out his update. It was a lot of traffic stops, some no contact order things, few other than that.
It was in there.
It was in there, so it's in there somewhere. And then I think that's it.
May I share something about Deputy Ball?
Yes.
I did a ride along with Deputy Ball this month, and it was pretty awesome. It made me love, number one, that we made this move. I think this was absolutely the correct move. Also made me love Millwood, because we were parked out doing a traffic stop, and Frank came and knocked out on the window and said, "Hey, can I get you guys some coffee?" I'm like, we literally live in Mayberry. So that was awesome. But yeah, no, I was really excited to talk with Deputy Ball. I think I spent probably about 4.5 hours with him. I think we made the right decision. He has some really good ideas about if we were to move more towards a neighborhood watch model, even giving presentations at different community groups. So I think there's lots of opportunities for us to fortify. And he was very praising of Scope. We have a true asset in our community that people do not have. Being able to go out and do fingerprints, do a lot of the stuff that would normally take up officer time, he can actually be out there being a real officer. So,
thank you very much. I think it was good to see folks out there getting more information. Thank you. So that concludes the council information tonight. So we open it up for public remarks. Public remarks are the opportunity for citizens to address the council, either in person or by submitting their remarks. We ask that each person limit themselves to 2 minutes and follow our citizen participation guidelines. I will ask, do we have any public remarks submitted electronically written? None. So we have 2 folks that have signed up. Our first is Bobby Vesey. Ms. Vesey.
Couple comments on the project. I wanted to thank Kyle for getting me the picture of the streetlights. Finally, you hung in there and got it from him. That's great. One question on that. It looked like the drawing on the back with the lights that go really tall and over the road. the banners are like really high. I don't see any, we're supposed to be pedestrian oriented and I don't see a pedestrian. I'd be likely at my age to fall over looking up.
I do recall a comment a couple construction meetings ago about the banner, and I believe that those are adjustable on the pole.
So hopefully they'll be brought down where pedestrians can see them. We want cars that are driving through to have their eyes oriented more at the level of pedestrians, not up at the sky away from pedestrians. I think this was stuff that came up back in 2016 or whenever we had that, our study. You want action and color and movement down closer to where pedestrians are. So they told us. But my big point tonight is what happens to the IEP flagpole?
We're keeping it.
Are we keeping it?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful.
Well, I think there's still a contract that's lingering, but that is the plan.
Good. That is so important. It's important as a symbol of the city as people come into it. It's really important to me. You're going to take away my trees. How am I going to know if the wind's blowing, how hard the wind's blowing? I live by that flag. I can tell approximate miles per hour based on how much the flagpole is flexing with that flag on there. And I'd be lost without it, so that makes me very happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just follow up on that, on the flagpole? So the city, because of the transfer of the property, the location of the pole, because of the funding on the project, we actually have to go through and draft a license agreement that will allow IEP to come out, change the flag, move it up and down, take care of it. That's what we're doing. That was never a question whatsoever for the city. I think there's been times where, Kyle especially is like, we gotta do all this for this. Yeah, we do. It seems frivolous, but we're gonna document it accordingly so it looks seamless like it's been historically. So, credit to you guys and the folks at Welch Comer for getting all that moving forward.
Any other questions while we're on that subject? So that brings us to our next signed in person, Mr. Mott.
Greg Mott, 3301 North Argonne. A little more actually on the same subject. In February of 1916, R.S. Talbot, general manager of the Inland Empire Paper Company, was able to obtain from Priest River a 101-foot white pine tree. It took 3 railroad cars to transport it to Millwood. That tree was placed as a flagpole just a few feet from their present flagpole. It was raised. It was thought at the time that it was perhaps the tallest flagpole anywhere in the area. IEP has, over the years, over the 109 years since 1916, maintained a 100-foot flagpole, give or take, on that site, very near what is now Argonne and Empire. That flagpole has been, and various flagpoles, yes, they've changed the poles over the years, but there has been a flagpole there that has been one of the tallest in the Spokane area. It has been maintained there. It has been through wars of all types. It's been through depressions. It's been through parades, local events, the paper mill fire, all these other items. That flagpole has been there. It is a very important symbol of Millwood. No other community in the area has a 100-plus foot flagpole almost in their dead center. So yes, it is very important that we maintain and protect that flagpole. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have no other individuals signed up this evening for comment, but I will open it up to the audience. First call for any other public comments.
I always mess up digits, sorry. Ladonna Dement, 10306 East Empire, and I just wanted to say thank you for all the work you guys have been doing to get our little stretch of the road there, you know, taken care of. I appreciate it. I did notice that too, though, sometimes, and maybe you guys have seen this too, because when I saw the temporary humps put in, I mean, I went over them like I'm supposed to by the church, and someone around behind me goes zoom really fast around, and I know that's going to happen. But if you have spots for those to go later, if you're not going to use them, I'm asking for too much, I know, but if just during the summer months or whatever, if we could, you know, repurpose them if you need to, like on our stop sign, our only stop sign there on Fowler.
I actually have a couple that are going there.
Okay.
I just need to wait till they get done with the chip seal project so they don't get ruined.
Okay,
And then I'll get them up there.
okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Talk about good action.
Ask and you shall receive.
The intent, quite honestly, I think it's kind of over Kyle's dead body though, is to look at some ways that we can, because there are some other types of design, those are very aggressive speed humps, for folks who've driven over them. They are a little too aggressive for our snow plows. But there are other types of humps that are used as stop bars, because we're calling those stop bars. They're not speed control humps, that are a little more designed with the idea of plowing, things like that in mind, that researching some designs on that the plows can still function over, but when there's no snow, they still function as speed humps now, or as stop bars. So as such, you drive through a stop sign one time at speed, you know they're there. So we are looking to see how effective they are. One of the things we are finding is that folks are definitely trying to squeeze around them. And that just goes to that whole thing of like, folks are gonna break the law, at some point it's just like, let's just, I guess on one side you could put the speed hump, and on the other side you could put those don't back up spikes. And so if you go the other way, you shred your tires. If you come across it the right way, you can go through it. I mean, you can come up with all sorts of ways to make people's life miserable. But if you're gonna break the law, you're gonna break the law. We can do what we can do. We are looking at that as another type of low-cost sort of engineered control at stop signs, particularly in our more residential areas where folks seem to like to roll stop signs. We can potentially look at that. So we were at second call. So second call for public comment, public remarks. Third and final call for public remarks. Thank you very much all for your participation this evening. And that brings us to council remarks. We will start with Mr. Stravens tonight.
Thank you, staff. Appreciate it.
Mr. Sanders.
Well, my similar comments to Amanda and the planning commission. Thank you very much for all the work you've done and the presentation to bring it all down to where we can kind of understand some of it to appreciate that, and also to for Matt and getting all those maintenance items taken care of that we've talked about for a while but never got the balls moving. So good.
Mr. Van Hees.
I say thank you guys very much for getting, oh man, that would be miserable to go through that. So thank you. I do have a question about the speed humps though.
We're talking humps or bumps?
We're talking humps. So we have temporary delineators going into the arboretum.
Yes.
Are we gonna do something more?
Yeah,
like a hardscape of some sort?
I have a plan for that.
Yeah, if they're digging up some good rocks.
I think I got a better plan. I got some leftover blocks from the retaining wall at the park. I'm thinking of digging those down and just doing a line across there, not from the edge of asphalt because that'd be too close and too dangerous, but from whatever, a foot and a half away, maybe 2 feet away max, all the way to the track. So if somebody tries to drive through the arboretum, they're gonna have to be okay with about a 12 to 15 foot vertical concrete ledge to drive over instead of just slowing down and going.
I like that. I like it. Alright, I'm just curious.
Thank you, staff and planning commission for the report.
Yes, thank you, staff and planning commission for everything. I was able to attend the Association of Washington State Cities on behalf of Millwood this last month. I was down in Tri-Cities. I went to their conference. I recall a few years ago, Andy and I went to the conference. We were in hot pursuit of the CML. We were going to become certified municipal leaders together. It happened for me. I finally finished enough credits to get the certified municipal leader, so that means that I took extra legal, budgeting, community leadership, and land use. But
I failed that.
not true. He was an inspiring factor.
Fail it. You just have to breathe air.
You just have to literally show up. And I wanted to let you all know that next year, that very conference is again in Spokane. So I encourage everyone to go, as multiple people went last time. It was about 5 years ago in Spokane. And you get all the education and you find out what the hot topic issues are. Definitely at the conference, a lot of talk about the Growth Management Act and a lot of talk about all the limiting budgets that are coming down. As you know, the federal is cutting off pipeline. State is currently in a big budget freeze. So this is going to trickle down to us. So we do need to pursue grants. We do need to be, and we also need to be open to to perhaps put on some restraints that we have not exhibited in the 7 years that I have been a city council person. But it was a very great meeting, and I encourage everyone to attend next year.
Excellent. I have nothing further other than I will say that, yes, we need to pursue grant funding. We are fortunate that we have done the level of grant funding that we have, because it is obvious that federal sources are rapidly drying up. We have our money in hand to do our projects that we need to do. 26 will be the full depth reclamation for Argonne from Frederick down to Trent, or at least Buckeye. We're not taking up the concrete intersection. And there will be advanced signalization, things like that. So I will say that the city has done an excellent job of pursuing monies and making sure that we have always been at the forefront of being in the line for those. Paul Allen did a great job of that. Kyle is doing a great job of that now. He's got excellent contacts at TIB. I think Kyle's work at TIB has facilitated the sorts of things where we get called when there is spare money, because we are typically on top of things. To that end, I would say to you as a council, the reason why we are on top of things is because you are proactive in your thinking of funding things like engineering studies, stuff like that. So we have stuff on the shelf that when money comes up, we are able to go, yeah, we got a project right here. You got spare money? We're happy to take that money from you, because we're ready to go. We don't have to do that. So that is a lot of forward thinking from your side of things. So I appreciate that from council being willing to do that. So with that concludes our council remarks. Do we have any announcements coming up? Do we have any holidays, anything like that? We're looking at being closed.
We'll be having Millwood Days the 23rd of August. So that's a ways out, but that's the only thing I know that's coming up.
Awesome. And so right now, we are at this point, we are at 14.5, which is an executive session. Mr. Wurst, do you want to call it out and say who needs to be here?
Yes, thank you. Millwood City Council will convene to executive session pursuant to RCW 4230-110 subsection 1I for 20 minutes upon commencement of the executive session, and unless otherwise extended by further announcement, to discuss with legal counsel legal risks of legal and financial risks of proposed action of the city. To be clear, the city council will not be asked to take action upon conclusion of the executive session. Need council, mayor, and probably Mr. Armstrong to start, and then we can demonstrate to Mr. Armstrong that we don't typically have meetings that last this long, so.
Yeah. 8:00.
But I think that's it.
All right,
Thank you.
so, we set for 20 minutes, that will commence, when we are ready. And as we said, no action will be taken following exit of the executive